I would like to see more Nyheim Hines. Like, I think this is the opportunity to get him involved. He's been here now for a few weeks. He's had opportunities to get in the playbook. You're down. Everybody's freaking out about only having 4 wide receivers active game day. Now's your opportunity to use this guy and get him in the mix. Or Shakir, one of those guys. But I want to see somebody that's new get an opportunity in this offense to be a playmaker with the ball in their hands, because you need somebody else right now to step up. And games like against the Browns and the Lions are the games to test some of that out and find out who that guy's going to be down the stretch. Chris, I want to ask you about sort of that point. You're bringing up Heinz. There's, you got nervous mafias really creeping in, and people are looking for things to blame and excuses and what's going on. And there's been a lot of sort of pointing to, well, look at what Christian McCaffrey and Jeff Wilson and these guys that have gotten traded and are automatically producing at other teams. What's going on with the Bills? Why are the Bills so slow to bring in players? Do you think this is a week where we start to see increased role for Heinz? I know our guys Air Raid brought up, hey, there's only 4 technically wide receivers on the active roster right now going into this game. And I feel okay about that because you have sort of these hybrid type guys that maybe in a pinch, if you need it for reps, can fill in. I feel like Heinz can come in and play the slot. You can line James Cook up at wide receiver. I think even your tight ends give you a little bit of that flexibility. But do you think Heinz starts to get a role due to sort of the lack of depth they're experiencing right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a valid point. I think that it's not valid to compare Nyheim Hines to Christian McCaffrey, though, and the role and the opportunity that McCaffrey was given immediately upon arrival. I mean, that's not something that Nyheim Hines was ever going to do for the Bills. I think it's kind of crazy talk when people start to say, like, yeah, well, look at McCaffrey. I mean, what?
I know people saw the Nyheim Hines. He has great highlights, and but I think people automatically projected all the highlights into, let's add that to our offense, and we're unstoppable. I think there also is some fair criticism, though, of I think he's talented enough and probably has enough grasp of the offense. I know Eric was saying when he's in, they are trying to find ways to get him the ball.
That's what I don't like, to be honest with you. I don't like, I don't want it to be a situation where, Nyheim Hines is on the field, so
they're trying to force it.
Yeah. Like, work him in, let him
naturally. Right. But then he needs to be on the field to get him in naturally. So that's the chicken or the egg.
Well, we've got 3 guys that, have different types of talent, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of overlap there. Right. I mean, whether it's Hines on the field or, Cook on the field or Singletary, like, I'm good with any of those.
Shakir and some of that gadget role stuff.
I'm good with any of those guys being out there. I don't think that there's I understand why you want, like, people see the Bills trading for a guy and it's like, okay, well, why hasn't he taken over as RB2 or RB1B or whatever, which I just don't think that was ever the plan. And right. I think that it's like, we gotta, like you say, like you like to say, pump the brakes a little bit, right? Yeah. I mean, he can contribute to this team without getting 10 carries a game or, 5 targets or whatever it might be.
And again, those contributions matter more like now coming up. Like, we're finally ramping up to the part of the season that matters the most, right? You want to start ascending in December, right? You don't want to flare out too soon. Some of these teams that are hot right now, they got off to a hot start. They're going to head into the playoffs kind of going through their rut, right? Every team's going to hit a rut somewhere.
Yep.
I'm glad the Bills get it out of the way in October, November.
And if you want to think of, I mean, people were projecting the reason for Hines being traded for was to be that pass catching back, which is valid, but look at how the Bills utilized him immediathas and then think about what their actual intent was. I mean, maybe he was primarily a return guy in their mind who has the
and take that load off.
Exactly, Shakir. Right, because they want to get Shakir more involved in the offense. So, right, getting Hines to come in and take over the return role, he's already had an impact there. So, I mean, I'd like to see him on the field more, but I'm comfortable with Cook or Singletary. I like those guys too. So I don't. Someone's got to come off the field, right?
Hey guys, Cover One is excited to announce our new partnership with BetUS. BetUS has a live wagering on all major games, the best betting variety in the business, and an easy deposit and withdrawal process with the fastest payouts in the industry. Our loyal Cover One fans get a choice between two exclusive offers, either a 125% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,500 or a free $50 bet with no deposit required. Just use promo code COVER1 on the links provided in the show description below. BetUS, where the game begins.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think maybe this is that weekend against the Browns team where now you're playing in a dome, right? So now there's no excuse of whether I hate the turf. Other than that, you can do what you want on offense. And if it's going to be 4 active, I'm assuming somebody comes up from the practice squad, just even to fill in some special teams role for the wide receiver room. But you're rolling in there with Diggs, Davis, McKenzie, Shakir as your 4. I'm cool with that, actually. I would love to see a rotation of Shakir and McKenzie and see them trying to get the ball in those guys' hands, plus with your tight ends and all those running backs, getting them mixed into the passing game. But I do think at some point you really got to not force Heinz to get going or anything like that, but get him involved enough in this offense to where he's out there on the field so that within the natural flow of the offense, we can see if he's the player that we sort of project him to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good opportunity, like you said, against a rushing defense that is bottom of the league. But it's kind of funny when we say that and we talk about
their passing
Heinz
defense
and
also
Cook.
is, though.
Yeah.
We look at the rush defense as like, oh, that's the only play. Like, we really need to get the run game going. Now that the weather's eliminated from it, like, they also are not a good pass coverage team, and we should be able to expose them and create some balance.
I just wanted to read this comment from Garbage Al, who says that it was about Nyheim Hines and how he needs more burn. He's first in catch rate and fourth in YPRR, yards per route run, which makes him hyper efficient when he gets the ball in his hands. He only trails Henry, McCaffrey, and Hall in this metric. Get him the ball.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks for that, Al.
Yeah, no, I've seen the data, and I just don't know his sample size in terms of can he handle the load of doing that in the offense. I think he at least can in terms of at the same level as Devin Singletary, right? We're not talking about the Bills have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield that can handle any type of real workload. I want to see him start getting the ball. I'm willing to wait a period of time to where it's like, hey, we have some communication. He's not quite there on our pass protections and maybe some of the option routes that we're running. He doesn't quite have the communication with Josh. Sure. But I think now you've been here, 3 weeks in the building and enough time to, as a pro, to probably be on that same page to at least get yourself inserted in a more real role.
Well, and those first shots that they're trying to take with him seem to be those wheel routes down the sideline, which are great. I mean, I love that he has that in his.
That's going to be some chemistry, right?
It's going to take a little time. Yeah. I mean, like, get him out there on get him doing some angle routes or just like checkdowns.
Well, and Josh isn't throwing in practice right now. That's another thing. Like this last week, he didn't throw in practice really at all.
That's a great point.
And so some of that timing has to play out in games and before games, and there's going to be trust that builds up. And I don't know. We talk a lot about all those things. They're there. The plays are there to be made. It's cleaning up. It's execution. And we're just banking on it happening at some point here, right? Anyways, thanks for everyone that hopped in. Appreciate all you guys. Anyone that's in the South Sound, stay safe out there and enjoy the day, guys. Appreciate everybody. Go Bills.
Yeah, go Bills. Stay safe, everyone.